Hi, my name is Marlon Valladares, and I'm from F-4, and the topics that I'm going to be representing are the original 13 colonies, the Stamp Act, taxation without representation, the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre, and the Intolerable Acts. Early British colonies in America. During the early 1600s, Europeans sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to explore America, which was known as the New World. After the Europeans settled, they eventually had 13 colonies in America. The 13 colonies were divided into 3 sections: New England colonies, Middle colonies, and Southern colonies. New England colonies.
Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire
formed the section of New England colonies. The settlers came from England and they were not searching riches. They settled in America because they were fed up with the Church of New England, also known as the Pilgrims and the Puritans. Middle colonies.
Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Delaware
formed the middle colonies, coming from different places such as
England, Scotland, Ireland, Sweden, Netherlands, Germany, France, Anglo-Saxons, and Iroquois.
Slaves also formed part of this section. Unlike the New England colonies, the middle colonies had different types of religion such as
Quakers, Mennonians, Lutherans, Dutch Reforms, Calvinists, and Presbyterians. New York and Philadelphia
gave rise to important people like Benjamin Franklin. Also, unlike the New England colonies, the middle colonies also had very fertile soil, which helped feed all 13 colonies with wheat and corn. Southern colonies.
Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia
formed the southern colonies by settlers who believed that turning the crops into cash crops gave more sale value. Therefore, slaves were treated like farm animals, which were bought and sold to produce tobacco and cotton. Check it out. The Townshend Acts taxed tea, other goods, angering American colonies. The Stamp Act was approved in 1765 by the British Parliament, which placed a different tax on the American colonists. The taxes were used to pay to keep a British army in the colonies. The colonists didn't like that, so they decided not to buy any British goods. The Stamp Act was repealed in 1766. The Parliament did not want the colonists to think that they were in charge. Immediately after repealing the Stamp Act, Parliament issued the Declarative Act. This act stated the Parliament had total rule over the colonies. Many colonists felt that it was an unfair and wrong to be taxed without having any voice in the government. This was taxation without representation. Charles Townshend was a British lawmaker back in England. He got lawmakers to agree to a new tax on the Americans. They would have to pay a tax on glass, paper, lead, and tea. This act was not only to collect money from the colonists. He thought that maybe this money could be used to pay the British governors of all colonies. Colonists, we don't buy it. Townshend set up an American Board of Customs Commissioners, which is a group that will be stationed in the colonies, making sure that colonists follow the tax laws, which later caused another boycott. Massachusetts stirs up opposition. 1768, Samuel Adams wrote a Massachusetts circular letter which said that Massachusetts was opposed to taxation without representation. In April 1770, news came to the Townshend Acts would be partly repealed. However, the tax on tea remained. Events leading to American independence. In 1763, few people would have imagined a revolution in America. Later, most of the American colonists thought of themselves as English citizens. Much happened between 1763 to 1776. The colonists felt that Britain was taxing them unfairly, treating them like children and ignoring their complaints. Many people started questioning how the tiny islands of Britain could rule the American continent. So this led to a war. The Royal Proclamation in 1763. The French and Indian War was fought in what is now the United States and Canada, and ended in 1763. The British fought against the French and some Native American tribes. British gained the entire area between the Appalachian Mountains in the east and Mississippi River in the west. Britain starts taxing the colonies. Suddenly, Britain begins controlling the colonies. The taxes on American colonists were lower than those on British citizens. The money raised from taxing the colonies was used to pay for protecting them. Americans thought the British troops were there only to watch, and they did not want to pay for that. The colonists felt that the British were ignoring their rights as Englishmen. Stamp Act is passed. This act was passed in March 1765. This became the first tax put directly on the colonies. Now every legal document had to be written on stamped paper to prove colonists had paid taxes. Boycotting Britain's goods. The colonists refused to buy British goods. British merchants lost money and put pressure on the government. The Stamp Act was ended the following year. New taxes. British Parliament did not want the leaders in American colonies to think they had power, so it passed the Declaratory Act. New taxes were put on glass, paper, and tea. Usually a colony had power over its governor's pay. The Boston Tea Party. Pirates in Boston told people not to buy tea. On a cold December night, 17,763 townspeople dressed up as Native Americans and attacked the ships, tossing 342 chests of tea onto the water. The amount of tea would be worth $750,000 today. The Intolerable Act. It closed Boston Harbor until the owners of the tea were paid back. On September 5, a meeting on the First Continental Congress took place in Philadelphia. It was the first time the colonies came together to oppose the British.